This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 239 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show, Not So Desperate Horsewives. This is the 5th annual Desperate Horsewives episode, so please support our sponsors as they make this very special show possible. Please visit fleeceworks.com for the finest wool and fleece products on the market today. And also check out Chasing a Fox in a Little Black Dress. You can find them on Facebook. Just search for Chasing a Fox.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They'll bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for the Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. The Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
I'm Helena B., and this is the 5th annual Desperate Horsewives episode. Actually, it's the Not So Desperate Horsewives episode. My two guests today are far from desperate. We have with us Sissy Finn, who is a horsewife, mother of 2 boys, a fox hunter, and she lives in New England in a very large, old house, which is amazing and perfectly suited for fox hunters. So Sissy joins us today, and we have Cammie Backman. She is also a horsewife, a mother of 2 teens, a fox hunter, and also lives in New England. The 3 of us have known each other for a number of years. We all ride out with the Myopia Hounds just north of Boston, and we have many stories to tell, and we've also had a number of years to work on this balance of horse life and horsewife. Some of us made it work and some of us didn't. So we're going to take a minute to hear from one of our sponsors. And then when we come back, you're going to learn exactly who made it work and who didn't. We'll be right back.
Judy, I've been hearing a lot of good reports about this new TheraWool product line that you introduced earlier this year. Tell us what's going on there.
It's basically opened a whole new customer base for us, and it's made the product affordable for people maybe who either didn't want to use sheepskin because it does require a little bit more maintenance, the sheepskin does, than the wool, or people that just couldn't make that stretch. So it's been great. It's really, really durable, as the tagline says. It is great for daily use, beautiful enough for show.
And I think that really explains it all in a nutshell, because it is a lovely pad to look at and feel, and yes. But yet it's still an affordable pad that you can literally go to the Olympics in this saddle pad.
Yes. We worked really hard to make sure that we developed the right density and the right length. And so it took us about a year to get everything exactly right, and to make sure that when you washed it, that it didn't felt up or turn real hard or ball up. And it's a proprietary blend of product, the way we've done this to make it work.
Quality saddle pads from Fleeceworks. So folks, when you go to your local tack store, ask for Fleeceworks TheraWool pads by name, and if your local tack store doesn't have them, tell them that they need to speak with Judy at Fleeceworks. Just go to fleeceworks.com and you'll find all of our contact information there. And thanks for stopping by again, Judy, and keeping us up to date on what's going on over there.
So welcome, Sissy Finn, horsewife, mother, fox hunter, entrepreneur, employee, an amazing friend. I know Sissy and I have known each other for a long time, and she does a fabulous job of balancing all the demands of horsewife and horse life. And Cammie, so we're going to start with Cammie. Let's hear what Ms. Beckman has to tell us about her background as a fox hunter, as a horsewife, a mother, and all those other wonderful things that Cammie is. So, okay, Cammie, now you have, you're a mother of 2 teenagers. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
One's away, though. One's away at school, so
okay.
He's not here unless vacation time.
Okay.
But Jenny's home, and so we have our morning routine of getting her up and off on the bus. Hopefully, she makes the bus. About a 80% chance, and then it's out to feed the horses and get them all settled outside, mucking the stall, and then, just like Sissy said, calling around, figuring out who's going to ride, where we're going to meet up, all that good stuff. I will tell you, if my daughter misses the bus in the morning, she is obligated to come out and help me feed before I give her a ride to school.
Ooh. I like that.
Yeah, that's the penalty. And then trying to get one of them to come out and feed with me at night is always fun. And all they have to do is throw hay. I just kind of want them to be involved, but it's not hard labor by any means. But yeah, then we have the nighttime routine.
Well, they're teenagers. Everything is hard labor.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's hard to just get up off their butts to go out to anywhere.
And now, Sissy,
Tammy's got the best setup for throwing hay. She's got the most fabulous barn, and you just walk upstairs and you just throw it over the rail. Into each stall. It's so easy.
You can throw your hay
fabulous.
right into each stall, Cammie?
Yeah, we've got like a knee board, knee height railing there or wall. So yeah, all the hay's just tossed out, and it couldn't be easier. It really couldn't.
That saves you so much time in sweeping. I mean, not that I mind sweeping, but if you really like a tidy barn, being able to throw the hay right into the stalls is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I throw it because I'm really picky. I throw it out the door so that they have to eat outside because they have the doors open to go in and out all night.
So what do? Throw it on an angle and get it out the door? Yeah.
Yeah, you got to get it like right out the door. It's specific placement.
The things we do to entertain ourselves. Honestly, like the perfect barn workflow. Everybody has their own like amazing workflow and how their barn should work.
Yeah.
All right. So now, Sissy, you've got two boys, a teenager and a 10-year-old?
10-year-old, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So you've got your own challenges. I have a 10-year-old myself. I know that alone is a world of challenges.
Right.
So how do you balance your day with, being a mom and then being a horse person?
Well, they're not horsey at all, unfortunately. So it works in my favor because if I say I'm going to the barn, they don't want to go, and I can have time with the horses and myself and my friends. So I have to make sure they're all tended to, and, they've gotten to Boy Scouts and play dates and all those things, and have all that covered before I can go out and do my riding. So it is a challenge.
Okay.
You at least have a horsey girl.
But she's still a lazy girl. Why do I have to take care of my own pony? We have those, and we have the mother-daughter butting head things. Like, she thinks she knows everything there is to know about everything at 10. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and of course, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I have a tendency to think I get a little, I could be a little miss know-it-all sometimes too.
That's great. I love it.
So we have. So Cammie's got her horses at home in her own barn, which is set up awesome.
Right.
Sissy, yours is like right across the street, so it's pretty easy to take care of Johnny, right?
Yes,
Okay.
it's very easy. Because I don't have a lot of responsibility in it, but just enough.
Just enough to okay.
Just enough.
And from pretty much from April through December, we're out there hunting.
Yes. And God love Tammy, because she'd keep going and going and going.
I know.
She pushes me to keep riding even after hunting's over. And I kick and scream and gnash my teeth. And she picks me up, and we go to the beach. And then finally, I have to say, it's too cold, Tammy. Can we stop doing this till the spring?
It's too cold. Well, Cammie's got a horse who likes to keep going and going and going. He's like the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
Tell us about your horse.
Well, he is I guess he's 3/4 thoroughbred and 1/4 Morgan. So he's either going really fast when he channels his thoroughbred side, or he's just on his endurance run when he channels his Morgan side. So he never runs out of energy or pep, or, we do a 3-hour hunt and he's jigging on the way back to the trailers. I mean, he's like, he's fine. He doesn't do anything stupid. He doesn't buck, rear, throw me, anything. He just prances like he's in a parade all the time.
Yeah, I on the various horses that I've hunted, I've been behind Cammie and her mount. Watson at first, and then it's Wyatt, right? Is your new guy. And honest to God, Cammie has the patience. Wyatt's a good match for you. You're a good match for him because Cammie just has this wonderful demeanor. Like no matter what's happening in the hunt field, Cammie just keeps going. Just keep going. Just keep going. And to be behind her and her horse is such a great place to be. It's like take that nose, take my pony's nose, and put it right in Cammie's butt. Pretty much.
Exactly.
So she's a really good demeanor for a horse like Wyatt. I think that's a nice balance.
Yeah.
And so now, Sissy, tell us a little bit about Johnny. You've got Saint Johnny.
St. Johnsbury, yes. He's an older chap. He's a thoroughbred. He has spent his whole life hunting. He was bred to be a field hunter. So he's one of those weird thoroughbreds that never raced. But he's got the endurance of the thoroughbred, So even though he's older, he can, keep up pretty well. And he's got the most lovely mind. He's not a cuddly horse, but he's a horse that knows his job. So if I'm in the barn and I'm trying to, be like, oh, Johnny, you're such a good boy, he looks at me like, whatever. Are we riding now?
Yeah.
Okay. Am I going to do my job now? Because I don't want to talk to you. And Cammie has seen that firsthand. It's quite funny. He kind of ignores me. Like, okay, are we going riding? Put the saddle on, and what do I have to do today? But when you get out in the hunt field, he is the hunt nanny, basically. He just goes along at the same pace, never, ever, ever steps out of line, never gets nervous. I get nervous, but he never gets nervous, and he just goes along. So it's quite lovely. And I'm behind Cammie a lot, so he's just chugging along behind Wyatt. They're two peas in a pod, those two. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
So it sounds like you guys are both in this really good place. You've got safe and reliable mounts. You ride out with an amazing hunt. I mean, we've all known Myopia for many, many years, and Brian Kiley, the new huntsman, is awesome. He's really, really great. So it's nice to be in a place it's nice to be out hunting and in the middle of a field that, it's full of people and horses you can trust. And so you've also been doing this for a number of years. So you're kind of like pros now at balancing motherhood, riding, hunting, horse care, all the other stuff you have to do with, your horse life. So you're in this, it sounds like you're both in this really good place. The variable we're going to talk about is the wife part. Both Sissy and Cammie are married, and you have wonderful husbands. I've met them both. I know them. They're just really great guys. Cammie, what's been the key to maintaining a healthy relationship with your husband in spite of the demands on your time that horses can bring?
Well, I think it's just having appreciation for each other's interests. He knows that this is my top number one thing that I would rather do than anything else under the sun. And so it's, especially now that our kids are a little older, we do have the ability to go off and do our own things at the same time, whereas earlier on, when they were younger, one of us had to be home. So if he was going to go play tennis, I needed to watch the kids, and vice versa. So it helps to have your kids a little bit older. It really does. But it's also about saying, you know what, go spend the entire day playing golf and enjoying that. I couldn't stand it. I would no sooner go out on a golf course other than on a horse than that just doesn't make me happy, but it makes him extremely happy. So I think it's just a give and take on each other's time and appreciating that there's only certain times when you can golf, there's only certain times when you can ride, take advantage of it, support each other. We meet up a lot, for nice cocktails afterward and kind of, how was your golf game, blah, blah, blah. Oh, how was your ride? How was the hunt? He loves the social parts of the hunt. He's very, very excited about going to teas whenever we have teas and the hunt ball and the spring hunt dinner and all of those things. And he really likes the folks that go hunting with me. So that helps a lot. He's kind of extraordinary. He really is a little bit.
He is extraordinary, and he's got such a he does look genuinely happy to be there. Of course, when we're all sitting around a table at a cocktail party and we're flinging glittery stars at each other and sticking them on our foreheads, and somebody's husband who is sticking them up his nose because we were all bored. It takes a certain amount of flexibility and personality to join us for these hunties and these cocktail parties. So Dan is a rock star. Well, so you have this great relationship. He appreciates the things that you make you happy, and you have an appreciation for the things that makes him happy. And then you meet in the middle where you can. So it doesn't necessarily mean that he has to ride, but he's involved. He's with you. You're a team when you do those things together in the horse world that you can do together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And you go to golf events too? Well, there's not as much social stuff in golf, is there?
Well, no, but I did try and pick up tennis. I knew golf was not going to do it, but I tried to pick up tennis last year, and I'm no good at all. I'm awful, and especially until I got the second hip replaced, I can't move very quickly. But I at least went out and did it, and then we would have lunch afterward, and because he had his activity when he was going to be playing golf or doing golf, and then I would be doing tennis, and we'd meet up afterwards. So we kind of try and take advantage of being in the same area at the same time. But I really do think it is just about, being happy for the other person to be spending their time the way they'd like to, their free time. It also helps never to really totally grow up so that we do play with the stars and, stick them on our foreheads and things. Because I don't think Dan and I ever completely grew up. We still really like having a lot of fun. So that helps. We're not too serious. There
is an element of punk necessary for healthy relationships. Okay, so now, Sissy, to talk about punks, your husband he's got a little punk in it. Both of you do. Let's just start there. Both of you do. So you're very well suited for each other. I absolutely adore the both of you. You both seem to be really just genuinely happy people. So there's a confidence about you, not only individually, because I know that you guys both do things that you really enjoy doing. And, Mark he runs his own business. He's involved with it for years and years and years. He's really good. He takes pride in his work. So you've got these two healthy, happy, confident individuals who come together. And tell me how your relationship works around the horse thing.
It's very similar to Cammie and Dan, a lot of give and take. Mark has a boat, so his boat time is seasonal as well as my riding time, so it's the same thing. He may want to go on the boat and I'll take the kids, or he'll take the kids on the boat. And then this summer, Cammie and I decided we should get involved in polo because we have nothing else to do. And so every Sunday we would be
That's a joke, by the way. That's a joke, by the way. When she says they have nothing else to do, trust me, that's the farthest thing from the truth. Sorry, go ahead.
Every Sunday we'd go to watch the myopia polo matches, and we had a spot. We had our own spot with our name on it, so we didn't have to get there early, and we could just go and bring all our tailgating gear and cocktails and food, and Mark would be out on the boat with the kids, and Dan would be golfing. And then oftentimes, because it's on the club property, Dan would come over and visit Cammie and I. Mark never made it because he's out on the boat, which is fine by me. So anyway, it's just a lot of give and take, boating makes him happy and horses make me happy, and we kind of meet in the middle. And Mark loves to do, like Dan, the teas, the balls, any kind of social gathering with this crazy group is always a good time. So it all works.
there's always a lot to do. There's the teas, there's polo, there's the fundraisers, there's the hunter paces, and so there is a lot of stuff that our husbands can get involved in if they want to. So is there ever an element of guilt, like the horses are calling again? Sorry, honey.
No.
But you all, Sissy, I mean, she's so good about doing things like saying, I'm going to cook everybody a big breakfast on Sunday. So don't count on seeing me out to do anything until later on a Sunday, if anything horse related.
Right.
So she takes chunks of time and says, I'm giving this to my family because, I want to do that. I think that's it. It's balance in all parts. It's balance with your kids and your husband and the rest of your life. But I would just say a lot of stuff gets put on the back burner in the busy season, and then hopefully you get around to doing some of it in the wintertime. That, in terms of guilt, like, oh my gosh, I really haven't taken care of the house the way I should have, or blah blah blah. It's well, you know what? That can wait until February when it's we're all stuck inside and cold. Yeah.
And I think that's true no matter what you do. If you're an outdoorsy type of person, if you live the sporting life, a lot of things gets pushed to the bottom of the priority list in the warmer weather.
Right.
Like your closet, like I know how many pairs of paddock boots I have like thrown in my closet, and breeches are all over the place. There's no organization. There's, clumps of dirt and manure track through the house. And you're like, oh, I'll get to that like after Thanksgiving. So I think that's true.
I think our families know, though, that, when formal hunt season officially kicks off, that we're checked out for about 2 months.
Yeah.
And we are busy, busy, busy. And because we've been doing it for a long time, our families just know that. And they pick up the extra slack, and it works because it's not unexpected.
Yeah. It's no. So would you say then, is it a fair statement to say you need to have, it's kind of a no-brainer. You need to have a healthy relationship with your husband or your partner if you're going to commit yourself, or if you're going to really fully immerse yourself in your equestrian activities, whether it's hunting or showing, eventing, or even just hacking out. A trail ride can last all day. So you kind of do need to have a healthy relationship. If anybody's going to pursue their passions, the relationship needs to be strong enough to withstand the demands on time.
Definitely.
Okay. I have to admit that my own was not strong. And a lot of our Stable Scoop listeners might not know this, but there are, I'm in the process of getting unmarried, as a friend of ours likes to call it, unmarried. And it's an okay thing. It's a very enlightening process. It's certainly very, very painful. But if I put it in terms of looking back on my horse life, there was a lot of guilt. There's a lot of, is it okay if I go riding? Or trying to constantly juggle what I want to do, that thing that feeds my essence, which is sitting down in the tack and hearing the horn, or just currying your horse or grooming or mucking, all those things that come along with being a horse person, not just riding, but being a horse person. And so when you look back, hindsight's always 20/20. You look back and you say, geez, there was a lot of guilt. There were a lot of social events that I attended alone. There was a lot of juggling to keep everybody happy. So I think if anyone's sort of tuning in, saying, well, not everybody's got a happy partner or not everybody's married, that's okay too. It's important to take a good, honest look at your relationship, the health of it, the strength of it, where you want it to go, where it's been, and how does that mesh with what you love to do most? And hopefully if you're listening to the show, that is ride. That is ride. Sissy and Cammie have seen me at how many events, and I show up all by my lonesome, happy as a clam, but all by my lonesome. It's okay.
You're always part of our group.
And that's just it, is you're welcomed with open arms. And I think that's one of the things that we all love about fox hunting is it's a very embracing discipline, because we're not really out there competing with one another, it's not like one barn competes against another or we're out there chasing points. It's very, I don't know, it's very warm and friendly. So I think you find a place, it's easy to find a home, as it were, with your fox hunting friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break for an ad from one of our sponsors, and then we're going to come right back with the Not So Desperate Horsewives episode of Stable Scoop.
Hi, everybody. This is Coach Jen, host of the Horse Tip Daily Show here on the Horse Radio Network. Thanks for joining us for this second in a 4-part series on leg protection for your horse, produced in cooperation with Thin Line Global. In this series, with the expert help of Elaine Lockhead, we will cover all aspects of leg protection. Now that part 1 got us up to speed on who needs leg protection and why, let's start this second segment by delving into the types of horse boots and what they do. Good afternoon, Elaine.
Good afternoon to everybody.
And in the first installment of this 4-part series on leg protection, we talk a little bit about the why and how of leg protection, what types of horses need it and why they need it. So I guess the next logical step is to talk about the different types of boots that are made and what's available and what they do, because it can be a little overwhelming. The boot page in any given catalog is extensive. So why don't you start us down that path of what kinds of boots there are and what those boots do?
Okay. Well, let's start with the easiest one first. Let's start with bell boots.
Oh, we're starting at the bottom and working up. I like that.
Exactly. So bell boots are designed to protect the coronary band, which is right above the top of the hoof. Coronary band is where you get, it's almost like your cuticle. It's where you get all of your growth, and it's where all the blood flow is. So it's a very critical part of the horse's foot. The bell boots are primarily designed to protect the coronary band, and most of the bell boots on the market are made out of plastics because people like to buy all sorts of different colors. The problem with plastic bell boots or rubber bell boots is that it really doesn't protect against blunt trauma. And Thin Line is such a great shock absorber that it does protect against that. Additionally, rubber boots, again, get hot. And we've talked a couple of times about heat retention and how heat is one of the primary causes for strains and muscle and tendon issues. So you really don't want to overheat any of the horse's body. So the Thin Line ventilates, and the Thin Line also has antifungal agents in it because you need to keep that area very clean. If you get any kind of fungus in there, then you can be looking towards abscesses and all kinds of things that can keep you out of the saddle for a while. So bell boots also, their second function is to keep a horse from pulling a shoe off. So that's pretty critical when you're riding. You have a lot of horses who tend to overreach and step up into their front footprint, which is what we actually want them to do when we're riding. But very often they'll pull the shoe, and that can hurt the horse, or, more than that, you have to call the farrier and wait several days to ride again. So
that sucks. I don't want to do that. No.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. So those, bell boots, other than that, there are a couple of different fastening closures. Any kind of double Velcro closure is generally best so that the bell boot doesn't come undone while you're riding. That's pretty important just from a safety.
Oh, it's always fun to go through the water jumps at big events and find the bell boots floating in there.
Exactly.
Do Thin Line bell boots float or sink?
They float. And in fact,
awesome.
One of the things, when we talk about other leg protections, one of the best things about Thin Line is it does not absorb water. So you can work in wet arenas, you can cross creeks, you can go in and out of water, and no matter what the boot is, it won't absorb water. And what that means is the boot stays light. And it doesn't shift, it doesn't rub, it doesn't change the feel of the horse's way of going. So those are all pretty important things, at least from the horse's standpoint.
Now, am I right? Because I have a lot of very old horse books in here. I have a penchant for collecting old horse books from flea markets. A bell boot is what was once referred to as an overreach boot.
Yes.
Okay.
Because originally it was designed, well, just for that purpose, because what happens is the hind leg overreaches into the front leg.
Got it.
And the horse will strike himself on the back of the front foot. Or he will then, catch an edge of a shoe and pull the shoe off.
Got it. Okay, so overreach boot is just an old-fashioned term for a bell boot. Got it.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, next.
Okay, so since you were talking about where things come from, historically, the most popular item to put on the leg were the leg wraps, or people call them polo wraps. They're also called track bandages. Track bandages have a lot more integrity to them, so they wrap a little bit firmer, like an ace bandage. Leg wraps have kind of begun going out of fashion, but it's not really a fashion issue. They've kind of started to disappear for two reasons. One, most importantly, if you put a leg wrap or a polo wrap or a racing bandage on incorrectly, you can actually bow them very easily. So unless you are pretty well educated about how to put one on, you can bow a tendon, and then what happens is people get afraid of putting it on too tight, and then they're out riding and the leg wrap drops down, and then that's when you discover all of a sudden that your leg wrap is down around your horse's foot, and that can be very dangerous.
Yeah, that looks like a disaster.
Yeah, that's a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So, and then in addition to that, when you use leg wraps, you have to wash them pretty much daily because they get really dirty, and then you have to re-wrap them. So, people are busy today, and they really don't have 20 minutes on just putting a wrap on a horse's leg. So the manufacturing industry has worked very hard to come up with different types of boots that are going to do the same thing a leg wrap would do, and even better, hopefully protect.
I was going to say, they probably do it better, don't they?
Or they do. They do it better than the old leg wraps used to do it. So manufacturing companies have done a lot of work and research on designing products that are going to do everything a leg wrap can do it better, and do it easier for the customer. So what they've come up with now is the primary boots that people use are a splint boot, and it's named a splint boot because its prime purpose is to just protect the splint bone. And then there are open front boots.
For our listeners out there who may be a little vague on which part of the horse's leg the splint boot or the splint bone lives in, that is the interior surface of the horse's cannon bone area.
Right. So it's behind the cannon bone and in front of the tendon.
The inside
so
edges.
There's a little bit of when you feel your horse's leg, you'll feel the cannon bone in front, and just behind the cannon bone, there's a little indentation, and then you can feel the tendon in the back. In that little indentation is a splint bone, and that splint bone is pretty important to the horse's soundness, and it's also incredibly easy to break. And once it's broken, you're going to have, some downtime where the horse is recovering, but the horses will recover and come back sound. But then you have a cosmetic issue because it always leaves a pretty good welt or a bump there. And then once you have that, it can be very difficult to buy leg protection that fits well and doesn't aggravate it.
Oh,
so we want to try not to break the splint bone on the horses.
Yeah, or bruise it.
Or bruise it, yeah. So splint boots are made pretty much just to cover that one little area. These are generally the least expensive boots in the market. They're almost always made out of neoprene and then some type of foam padding right at the splint bone. But that's all they do is protect the splint. And again, you don't get any protection from blunt trauma. So it might help if the horse were to sort of gingerly tag the splint bone. But if you get a horse that really hits himself, a $19 set of splint boots is not going to protect you the way, a product made of a different material might. Then the next largest category of boots would be the open front boot. The open front boot is designed for horses that jump. The theory behind the open front boot is that you want the boot to have no protection at the front of the cannon bone. And this is so when horses are jumping and they take a rail down, they can actually feel when they hit the rail. We want the horses not to do that anymore. We want them to jump clear. So what the jumpers do is they use a boat that protects the inside of the leg, the back of the leg, the outside of the leg, and not the front of the leg. So generally they have straps that are just elastic straps that go across the front of the leg. And then the rest of the leg is protected by a hard shell surface and then lined with some type of material. The most popular materials are neoprene, gel, and thin line. And then the last category of boots is probably the largest because it's used across multiple disciplines. These boots are called marching boots, sport boots, or galloping boots. And these boots
Got it.
wrap. The way you define what it is it wraps around the entire leg. So when you close the boot, 100% of the lower leg is covered. So the horse is protected on both sides, in the back and in the front. And in this style of boot, you can choose for the hind leg, you can have a tall sport or brushing boot. So primarily horses that are doing a lot of lateral work, like dressage horses or driving horses, will use hind boots that are very tall. The rest of the people will use an ankle boot that just protects the inside of the fetlock, along with a sport boot, or otherwise known as brushing or galloping boot, in the front, so that you have full protection in the front, and then just the ankle protection in the hind. And the people who use those typically are event riders and endurance riders. If you're doing a lot of jumping, you can't have a high hind boot. So they just tack the ankle of the back leg and the whole front leg. So, and again, once again, the materials that are used inside these boots are generally neoprene, different closed-cell foams, sometimes sheepskin, and then thin line. And what is good about some of the other products, the sheepskin is it's more moldable for a horse's leg. You can put a sheepskin boot on any horse and it'll kind of fit because the fur will compress in some areas and not in others. But sheepskin is not really great on a horse's leg. If you get it in water, you can only imagine what that's going to look like in very short order. So, probably the best option, luckily we have this incredible technology where we have a amazingly impact-resistant product that is very thin, doesn't absorb water, has antifungal agents, and most importantly, breathes. So you can turn horses out in these boots, and they can be protected in the paddock. It'll kill the rein rot. It won't overheat any tendon. It will protect from almost all impact or trauma to the leg. But what we love at Thin Line, we're all horse riders, but we're all very busy and we work. These boots are so easy to take care of. You hose them off, and you're done. You can throw them in the washing machine. You can throw them in the washing machine. And the nice thing, I hate to hang my boots out and have them have to dry for 2 or 3 days. But since the Thin Line doesn't absorb water, you hose them off, you're done. You can go on to the next horse.
And dry a lot faster, yeah. Well, my gosh, there's such a variety available, and we haven't finished it all yet, folks. We're going to have to divide the types and functions into 2 separate segments because there are so many. But this covered a very high percentage of the ones that you're going to see on most horses in English disciplines. The ones we're going to cover on the next one also carries some boots that you frequently see on Western disciplines and some boots that you see on horses that aren't even being ridden. So stay tuned for the next installment, folks. Once again, thank you very much, Elaine, for stopping by. Tell folks where people can find Thin Line on the interweb.
thinlineglobal.com. We're a USA manufacturer, and we support our dealers. So even if you order online, that order will go to your closest tack shop. If you choose to shop online, we support the tack shops across America.
And that wraps up part 2 of our 4-part series on leg protection. Thank you once again to Elaine Lockhead for sharing your expertise, and thank you to Thin Line Global for helping us put this series together. And as a thank you to our listeners, when you order online at thinlineglobal.com, enter the promo code RADIO at checkout for special savings. Stay tuned for part 3, where we will continue talking about the different types of boots available and what their jobs are.
All right, so we're back now. We're talking with Sissy Finn and Cammie Beckman. The three of us ride out with the Myopia Hounds, so we spend a lot of time, well, as much time as possible, riding to hounds. And we've been talking about how we balance our horse time and our family time. So now I want to talk about what kinds of things that we do to reinforce our relationships with our husbands or our partners, our boyfriends. So, which is, we're middle-aged moms. We're not out there like...
Oh, don't say that.
We're not out there like wrapping ourselves around poles or anything, you know. That's for the younger set. But, Sissy, what do you and Mark do just like when you're not riding and he's not boating? What do you guys do?
We do a lot of hanging out. He's good company, and we laugh. Oh, my gosh, we laugh so much. As a matter of fact, the other night,
he is a bit of a goofball.
We were watching a movie. I don't even know the name of the movie, but I decided to go upstairs and watch it upstairs because he was busy banging around pots and pans. And I didn't realize this, but there's a feature on the TV that if you press it, instead of it being closed captions, there's a feature on my TV that's for blind people. So I didn't know this. So basically, the movie is playing and the characters are speaking. You know, you see the movie; it's regular. But there's this woman in the background describing the scene, and she'll say, "And so got up from the table and left abruptly," and it will describe the whole thing. It's hysterical. So anyway, Mark, shortly after I went upstairs and he was finished downstairs, he came up and he's like, "What is the television doing?" And I had never seen this movie before, and I said, "Well, isn't that just part of the movie?" And he goes, "No. Why is that lady describing everything?" We were laughing so hard because this voice, like, from nowhere, is just like, and so-and-so leaves the room very angry, and they slam the door, and now they're outside, and they're getting in this old car. But it was just very funny. I guess you had to be there. But we were laughing so hard about this feature. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
No. In fact, it would probably drive me crazy.
People.
Well, why would a blind person be watching television to begin with?
Well,
Wouldn't they just listen to
the movie?
So then why don't they just get like, but they can hear the movie. I mean, if somebody gets up from a room, okay, so maybe the sound of the chair getting pushed back they're going to hear a door slam. I don't know.
I know, but she described it. It was just so funny. And then so we were laughing about that. And then in the next breath, Mark had been talking about taking the boys canoeing the next day because it was going to be nice. And then he said, I'll give Hunter a ride to school, but I thought he said he was going to take him canoeing before school. I said, how are you going to take him canoeing before school? Poor Mark was crying. He was laughing so hard. So anyway, yeah, we just hang out. We're goofballs. We just hang out and enjoy each other's company. We're not, we don't go out on dates very often because we just like to be home.
Well, you have a lovely home. I mean, you guys, you spend a lot of time on your home, and that's sort of a hobby for you, for the both of you.
Yeah.
You enjoy working on your home.
Yeah. So.
And so,
that's the excitement.
Cammie, you were talking a little bit about this in the first half of the show, that you will get together outside of the actual events and you'll sort of have lunch or whatever. What else do you and Dan do to kind of get some couple time in there?
Well, I think we're a little bit of homebodies too. We would prefer to be at home, just having our own dinner, watching a movie, doing those sorts of things. And I think we're in a similar situation where we get each other's humor a great deal, and he makes me laugh more than anyone else. So it's just fun to be home relaxing. I don't feel a need to go out to do anything else or to be away. Again, kids are a little older, so we get a lot more of our own space and time as it is. We don't really have to go out. We did when they were younger. We really looked forward to going out and having a time where we could talk and not get interrupted and, screamed at and yelled at and somebody else to put the kids to bed. But that's past. So, my youngest is 14 and very independent. So we just like doing our own thing, mostly at home, drinking wine and watching a movie. And
here we go. Now it gets good. Drinking wine.
Oh, yeah.
We do like our wine.
We do like wine is an essential part of every middle-aged mother's life. And by middle age, I mean, we're all pretty rockin', I'd say. I mean, we hunt after all. You can't get out there in the tack for 3 hours and not have a sense of humor, be fairly fit, and have, at least a fairly good farmer's tan.
Yes.
With the whitest legs.
With the whitest.
I know. We are what my friend Risa likes to call wind-swept women. We are wind-swept women.
Wind-swept, which to me, there's nothing more beautiful.
Right.
We're windswept women. I know. So let's talk about advice. Let's say we're sitting around the feed room here. We got our coffee out, and this, 20-something comes along and says, my fiance and I are getting married in a couple of months. I ride, he doesn't. If you could give her one piece of advice, what would you say to her, Sissy?
I think that I would say don't stop riding. Don't give up your passion, and make it just be part of the relationship. A happy wife is a happy life. So for the husband. So I'm sure that if he's the right guy, he's going to understand that is very important to you, and don't step back from it.
Right. I like that. Don't step back from it. You windswept woman. All right, Cammie, what do you got? Girl comes up to you and she's like, "What? I love this guy. I want it to last for 1,000,000 years, but I'm never going to give up my crazy thoroughbred." What do you say?
I think it's respect and give and take, and just that balance of letting them do the things that they enjoy without posing any guilt on them, or making any expectations of that's unrealistic around it, and expecting the same in return. Of the women that I've known over the last 25 years, and the number of them that have things haven't worked out, I would say that so many of the cases were guilting each other, just expecting something other than what was happening, and making each other feel badly about it. And it makes me sad because in many of the cases of the women that I'm thinking of, which is not Helena, is that it's more of getting cranky about your husband, and he never does this and he never does that, and he's just blah 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 blah. And I think I always just felt like I wanted to sing his praises more than put him down for not doing things, and then we just keep having more and more respect, and therefore you have more give and take on these things. I know there definitely has to be a healthy relationship underneath that top layer of hobbies and passions. You can be passionate about your horses, about your horse life. Your husband, your partner, your wife can be passionate about things that they love, but underneath those things, there has to be a solid foundation. And so if I were to give this girl advice, I would say, make sure that you are marrying this person for the right reasons. I think today, I'm coming from a different place because obviously this is a huge life transition for me, but I think a lot of people get married for the wrong reasons. Yeah. And eventually those reasons catch up with you. Some of us have to go through that, or sometimes the reasons may be right back then,
and they change. But the point is you have to kind of keep your eye on the health of the relationship and on your own individual stuff. You know, you have to continue to try to be a good person and to be the best person you can be so that you can contribute to the relationship. And then, in my opinion, that relationship can easily survive the demands on your time that horses take up. Because I don't really know of many other sports or activities that take up as much time as horses.
That's true. And money.
No, money. Let's talk about greens fees, okay, and lift tickets. There's plenty of money to be spent in other sports.
That's true.
There is. I've done it because I've had to prove I've had to prove the financial thing, but time. You know, you can't go to the barn and you can't be there and done in an hour. You can't be there and done in 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know.
And hunting, in formal season is a full day event.
Right.
You know.
Got to get them washed, cat clean,
braided.
our gear clean, braided.
Transport.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything.
Cooling out. And then you got to take care of your trailer and you got to, and then there's the hunties and there's the social stuff that you have to go to and, getting up at the crack of dawn. What? Nothing. What? Nothing.
Sparrow's part. Getting up at Sparrow's part to go out hunting.
Sparrow's part. Well, I think this was great. I think we had a good balance, a good discussion about the state of relationships and in the horse world. Well, yeah, relationships. You never know what to say. Like, I don't want to say civil unions or. I just think marriage. I think marriage should be for everybody, whether you're a man and a man, a man and a woman and a woman, a horse and a horse. Yeah. Everybody can get married in my world. If this was like Helena world, everybody would be married as long as they were married to the right person for them.
There you go.
So anyway, I think if you have a good marriage, if you found the person that you love and you want to spend the next 100 lifetimes with, then you'll know it. You'll know it. And if they ever make you feel guilty about going to the barn, kick them to the curb.
Squash them down.
Squash them down. Hit the road, Jack. Just don't take my trailer. All right. Well, many, many thanks to my good friend Sissy Finn and Cammie Beckman. I really appreciate you joining me for Stable Scoop this week, and hopefully we'll be able to get both of you back on in some way or another in future episodes. As always, we love your feedback, so please follow us on Facebook under Stable Scoop, and you can also find us on Twitter at Horse Radio. Many thanks to our sponsors for helping support this week's show. We hope you will support them. Go to stablescoop.com to find out all about these businesses and the amazing products they offer. That's it for this week. Thanks again for joining me. There will be more next week.